car. It was shaped like a cat, it was a present from my mother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind.
And we're live, just like that. Boom.
Here we are.
We're having coffee. I didn't even look to see what cup I had today. It's my daughter.
You have your daughter.
Which one is it?
I just have a white mug. And I'm gonna be totally transparent and say that I have a cup of tea.
Tea
today. Yeah, I know it's another cup of coffee show. Today I happen to have had run out of coffee, and I was thinking of Ireland. I got me a cup of P&G Tips, and as many people in the pandemic, nobody can travel, right? So I was just thinking about how much I love the people of Ireland and the beautiful countryside, and so I had a cup of tea and thought about my Irish friends. I was driving from Galway to Calmore Abbey with Sonia Tetlow and her wife Kyle, and we're in the middle, literally in the middle of nowhere, on like a road where if another car came, you sort of had to get over on the grass, And there are sheep. And green hills, and it's like you stepped into a Disney movie. We stop in this pub. I forget Joyce's pub, and I said, I'm gonna go get some gum at the little store next door because I'd had a couple of pints, whatever, and we're gonna keep driving. I'm gonna be in a small car. And as I walk out, I hear the bartender, an Irish girl, call out, "Sister, we got one going into the store." And the girl scurries from the bar to the store because there was nobody in the store because they were all in the bar. And she waits on me or whatever. And I come back in the bar, and as I'm walking in, there's an older fella, and this is years ago, so he's probably my age now or thereabouts. Anyway, he was an older fella walking out, and I went to step out of his way, and the bar was dark, and I stepped into a rack of coats or postcards or whatever it was, and I started to trip. And he was great. He had a little cap on. He was very Irish, old gentleman, and he grabbed me by the shoulders, and he goes, "Steady now, Yank. You don't want to trip and fall." And I don't know how he knew I was a Yank just by sight, but he did. Maybe he didn't hear me talk loudly in the bar. And he goes, "Where you from?" And I said, "Well, thank you." And he goes, "Where you from, Yank?" I said, "I'm from New Orleans." And he says, "Well, you must be a singer then," because all the Irish people, they like to make jokes whenever they can. And "You must be a singer then." And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I am." And he goes, "Well, then give us a song." So we're just standing there at the entrance of the pub, and I sing, "Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans?" And the closer I get to the end, his smile on his face has gotten bigger and bigger, and he's folded his arms, and I get to the end, and he goes, "You're classed then."
Nice.
See, how the Irish, right? How can you?
See, what I was thinking is that you might be like, well, here's one that I wrote. You used to be a friend of mine, but I can stand you now. So I thought maybe.
Well, I played that one in pubs when I toured in Ireland, and they liked.
I bet they did. The Irish people are just think about Boston. Now, this is not a dig because I like this about people in Boston. They don't take no shit. Like people in It's like people in Boston are like, we don't have time for that shit. Like New Orleans is like.
Oh, I had a friend down, my friend that I wrote Irish Boy about. What's an Irish boy from a good family doing in the gutter? Steve Brennan, he's from Boston, right? And he was in town a couple of years ago working on a Tom Hanks movie in Baton Rouge, and it was during Jazz Fest. So he scoots down for Fest, and we go out to Fest, and he's looking around. He's just in a great mood. He's got a day off from the movies and money in his pockets, and he's standing there listening to music. He loves music. And he saw some guys from Boston, and he kind of smiled. He watched them for a while. He goes, "Hey, Paula, you know something? I've been coming to Jazz Fest for a lot of years, and I've never seen a fight." And I said, "Yeah, that's not the vibe. It's not how it is, especially at Jazz Fest. It's pretty community oriented. It's pretty rare to see." He goes, "Yeah, but I've been coming a lot of years. I've never seen one." I said, "Yeah, no, I've been coming my whole life. I've never seen one." He goes, but that group of guys right there, they're from Boston. And they're not in a fight with anybody. They're dancing. They were his people,
So I mean, I'm seriously, that's one of the things I love about Boston is just that whole, and it's very, it's the whole Irish, they all took up there. Fuck you, New York. We're going up here. This is our place,
They are a much earthier people. You know, now New Yorkers, of course, in the Bronx, Brooklyn, and I'm talking about when I lived there in the '80s. It was earthy folks, but in Manhattan, people are trying to be whatever it is. Whether it's to be a songwriter or to be an actor or to be a ad man or business executive, whatever you are, you're trying to be. Whereas in Boston, they just are, man. Like I was I was living up there working on a TV show, and this friend of mine, Drew, and his wife came up to visit me. And we went down to the North End, which is the Italian, like Little Italy in New York. The North End is where you get great Italian food. And again, this is back in the '80s. I don't know what it's like now. But I took him to the North End to this great little Italian restaurant. I knew that was very authentic. And we're getting to the table, and it's a really tight little place, only a few tables, and a big, fat, tough Italian guy seating us. And he says to the guy's wife, "You sit there," and he tells me, "You sit next to her, and you sit over there." And as the guy's walking away, I kind of leaned into my friend. I go, "I'd let you sit next to your wife," but he scared me. And he turns around and he goes, "Look, I'd let him sit next to her, but there's a big fat guy sitting there, and she'd just be uncomfortable. So just sit next to his wife, all right?" And he said it like loud enough for the big fat guy to hear him. He didn't care.
Oh, you've got so Randy Baker says, "Good morning. See where the Rolling Road Show is part of Festival in Place, May 1st.
Yes, it was very nice of them to include me. They got in touch last week and even asked, if I had a preference, and had a really lovely set with Sonia Tetlow and Mary Lasang and Linda Boley on drums and John Herbert on harmonica back in 2014. And so I'm hoping that's the one they wound up selecting. I mean, every year it's a different lineup. But after a tough pandemic year, those were the only person missing. Well, Debbie and Alex would have been great, but Alex had a gig that day, and I think Debbie was actually on a solo gig, and I was happy for her. But that was during the pandemic. Those are the people's songs I played. I was missing, like some people missed people, and I don't know, they were putting up old pictures or whatever. But I taught myself to play piano, and so when I was thinking about all the fun I had playing gigs with Alex, I'd play his song "Diamonds in Your Hand" on piano, and there's a song of Sonia's I really love called "Lonely Street." So when I think of all the great times Sonia and I had on the road, I would play "Lonely Street," and my friends were with me at the touch of the keyboard,
Yeah, it's a nice way to spend time. Plus, I bet there's more melancholy in piano. You can get more melancholy out of it.
Oh, you know what? Even when you play like a monkey, like I do, it sounds so much grander than a song on guitar.
It's like, you're right. It's like guitar street music, and it's like this is the
I played
music
with my friend Oscar Rossignoli. Now, Oscar's one of the most brilliant pianists in New Orleans, granted, but he was rehearsing with my friend Carmelo Rapazzo, and I'm anxious to show Oscar that I can play the song of mine that they do, with the right proper jazz chords and stuff. And I played it for him, and he was like, "Yeah, whatever, that's how you wrote it. That's great." And when I said to Carmela, like, Oscar was singularly unimpressed with my piano playing. And she said, "Well, he probably doesn't know that you never used to play." And I was like, I got a feeling every piano player in the city is going to have the same reaction.
But we don't care about what the musicians think, right?
Well, it's as I'm like digging it, I'm having a ball doing it, and I'm going to wind up doing it live eventually because that's I just love it so much. But I understand, like, my orientation was not as a New Orleans musician. It was something that I learned when I came home from playing rock and roll after 15 years. But when I was a kid, I liked Buddy Holly and Elvis Presley, and I liked the Beatles, and I liked the Clash, and I liked, Joe Ely, whatever was rocking. And that's a whole different way of playing. And that's a whole different way of hearing even,
Right.
So, so it took me a while to first understand that, and then incorporate it into my music, and then ignore it again.
Right, because you have to,
which is what I am, you know.
and that's definitely what we do. Yes, welcome to another cup of tea, Philip. Good morning, Lorelei. Good morning, Mark. And Allison. Allison says the North End is lovely. She's talking about Boston now. But now you don't have to walk under the sketchy overpass. She says they opened it up and the Greenway's lovely. You know?
See, I haven't been there in so long. And, you know, when I play Boston, it's not that part of town. And, you know, it wasn't until I kind of had all the surgeries and broke down physically and lost my voice that I realized, man, I should have been taking it a little slower. Not just because I probably wouldn't have broken down, but like I was in some awesome places and people were always wanting to take me to dinner somewhere or something. And I rarely had time to do it. Once in a while, you know, a guy would, like in Jackson Hole or Jackson, Wyoming, my friend Jeff Potter booked me and literally said, don't book anything around this gig for 2 days because you're going to hang out here and I'm going to show you Yellowstone and we're going to have some fun. And it was great. And I guess my work ethic from the Mouth days, we just worked, you know,
Right.
if there was a gig, we took it. And if there was a gig, I took it. And I could have said no and smelled the roses a bit more.
Right.
Although, I mean, I smelled an awful lot of roses.
Well, you don't kind of figure that stuff out until later, you know, right? You just sort of
When you're old and you're going slow anyway, and you're trying to rationalize how cool going slow is.
Right. And you think about all the times, like, yeah, I've been there, but I don't know if I stepped out of my hotel room, you know?
Well, you know, the big difference was like, in the big cities, obviously you knew, like you couldn't wait to hit the big towns.
Right.
But I think of all the small towns I missed out on, something just cool, like maybe where a writer I loved was buried or was born, or, you know, something I could have just walked to pass the time instead of sitting in the bus, you know, on video and having another beer. There wasn't, you know, the Google Maps. There wasn't the phone thing then. Like now you'd tumble out of your bunk and you'd have a cup of coffee and you'd go, oh, wow, you know, Hemingway was born 2 blocks from here. I'm going to just go walk over and, you know, pay respects or have a cup of coffee there or whatever, you know. So I definitely missed out on stuff. But I mean, again, when you know, I got to see so much and do so much that at some point I just stopped telling my friends like what I got to do on the road because it sounded like bragging.
Right.
You know?
You're just trying to share. I mean,
I was trying to share my life like they would, but their lives consisted of a more normal fabric, you know, of community and families and graduations and baptisms and, you know, and it was beautiful. And it was the lives that they wanted and they were happy with. And I just trying to share the details of my normal life because it sounded like bragging. And it really wasn't. It was just like, that's how lucky we were. So as an old dude reflecting, I have to go, quite a ride.
Yeah, I know. I mean, same here. I wouldn't usually tell people everything, but there will always be a few stories that stuck out to you, like, you know, or something would come up and you'd be like, oh yeah, you know, I was there.
Well, you know, there's stories that like live on. There's a friend of mine who passed away. He was our merch guy. He died of cancer a few years ago. His name was Paul Panachera. We all called him Paul P. And there's a Paul P story that'll live forever in the travel lore. Cowboy Mouth used to love playing ski resorts. Fred didn't really care as long as there was an audience. He was not going skiing. And then, to be honest, we would have never let him because...
Right. He wasn't the most coordinated fellow.
Well, he wasn't a sporting fellow. And if he broke something, then the show was off.
Right.
But everybody, the crew, everybody loves free stuff and free skiing is great. So we played a lot of places. And we pull into this town. I think it was Steamboat Springs. And it was like a blizzard as we pull in. And it's... You know, it's just before opening. You know, the ski shop's not open. The hotel hasn't taken us yet. So we stop like at this town center where the restrooms are open and people get off to pee and they get right back on and the bus pulls off to go to the hotel. Well, nobody knew that Paul P hadn't gotten back on because he was a smoker. He was smoking a cigarette. So we just sort of think, oh, he'll meet us at the ski shop, I guess, whatever. Nobody's thinking. We're just giddy. We're half awake and we can't wait to get to the hotel, dump our stuff and get straight to the ski shop. And we do. And still no sign of Paul P. And we're booting up and we're going out to the slopes, you know, and we're having fun. And every time we're on the slopes, we're kind of looking, is that him? Nope, that's not him. You know, we're out kind of on the ski lift. Is that him? No, that's not him. So at the end of the day, the bus pulls up to pick us up and take us to the gig. And he gets on the bus and his face is windburnt. He's red. And he's pulling out a cigarette. And we all are just giddy because we had finished skiing. We go, oh, dude, you made it to the slopes. And he goes, no, fucking didn't make it to the slopes. And he literally blows smoke into the bus, which you're not supposed to do. Because I got fucking left when I got off the bus to go to the bathroom. He gets off the bus at 7:30 in the morning in just his sweat top and his sweatpants and a pair of slippers, right? But he stops to have a smoke and the bus leaves him and we don't know. And we assume he's going to catch up. Nobody's looking for him. Well, he thinks the bus is going to come back. So he waits and finally he doesn't have any money because he got off in his pajamas essentially. So he can't go into the restaurant and sit and have breakfast. He can't buy a cup of coffee. And there's this old guy in the bathroom that's hit on him a couple of times already. So he can't hang out in the bathroom and stay warm. And so he thinks the bus was red and he sees a red top down the hill by, like a half a mile. And he thinks, well, the bus is in a parking lot or something. I'm going to go get on the bus. I know the combination. So he starts walking, but it's further than he had thought. And he decides he's going to take a shortcut off the road through the snow. And the snow was a blizzard. So he falls backwards and he gets stuck in a snowbank that's like 3 feet around him. And after struggling for a few minutes to get up, he realizes he's not getting up and it's still a blizzard. And he said, I just fucking laid there and thinking, okay, they're going to find me dead. And that's just the fucking way it is, man. And so he was laying there for a long time, getting covered in snow. And a guy was cross country skiing. And he goes by and he's like, hey, man, can I get you out of there? So he gets Paul out and he makes it down to the red top thing. It was a Coca-Cola truck.
Oh,
it wasn't even the bus. He finally had to walk like 3 miles to the hotel or something, and he didn't have any ID, but somehow convinced him that he was legit. And he was so mad at us.
Oh my gosh! And then you're trying not to laugh while he's telling this story.
We're trying not to laugh, but we were exploding with laughter.
Of course, I mean. And he's like, "That's great, yeah. F all of you guys." Hey, I have some good news. I am fully vaccinated.
I'm so happy for you, Mikey. That's great.
It's a thumbs up. I put the thumbs up where you can see it. It's a thumbs up.
Yes,
and it happened yesterday, and ow.
Yeah, you got hit hard, huh? And we had the same vaccine. You had the Moderna?
No, I had Pfizer.
I had the Moderna, and I did not have a reaction to either the first or second shot. The second shot, I kind of slept a bunch, but I didn't really feel, like nauseous or chills or anything. I just was a little tired. Now, Allison had the Pfizer, and she was really sick with the second one with chills and fever. And
yeah, I don't have any of that. I feel tired. Like my muscles just feel like they're just laying on me as an extra form of misery. It's like, can I just get it off of me? Take my muscles off of me, drop them on the ground, and leave that misery behind.
Oh my God!
So I took.
Well, in 2 weeks, we'll have to do a show in person. I know you don't get up early enough to come here, but I'll come there in 2 weeks. And we'll have a cup of coffee right there on your back porch.
And you can bring the mug, and we'll have the mug, and it'll be fun.
Well, your back porch doesn't get the proper reception to make it work, right? We'll have to go into your...
I'll start sussing it out, because I got long cables, We do it out in the front yard, So people walking by me, what the hell are they doing?
We're having another cup of coffee.
We're having another cup of coffee. Come join us, people. We'll have a big old pot out there.
But then something tells me that sort of signals the beginning of the end for this show of ours, Mikey. Once we can all start seeing each other. Certainly, you and I won't need to not see each other for coffee, but more importantly, far less people than our 30 listeners will be interested in our cup of coffee.
Yeah, we'll see. You guys, if you guys keep coming, we'll keep doing it for a little while. We'll see what happens. It's fun. It's easy. We'll figure it out. Maybe.
Cooper Manning started a podcast now. It's called Soup with Coop.
All right.
And Coop's been a fan of mine for a long time, and I'm not saying he took the idea from me. Coffee with Paul Sanchez, soup with Coop. You know what I'm saying?
You know, huh?
But there is a song of mine that says, "I'm New Orleans born, New Orleans bred, and when I die, I'll be New Orleans dead." And it was a thing that Cooper used to say when people used to ask him where he was from when he was hanging backstage at Cowboy Mouse shows.
Uh-huh.
And I told him once when I saw him that I felt badly for not giving him songwriting credit. And he laughed and asked where his share was. And I said, well, it was too late for that now. And I feel like this is his revenge. I feel like it's a direct ripoff of Another Cup of Coffee. And it's his way of paying me back for not crediting him with the line in Stu Called New Orleans.
That was his line, though? That's a great line.
Well, it's not like we were sitting there writing a song together.
No, I get it, but you heard it. You took it.
At Paisley, because those guys actually sit and write songs together if you've seen the commercials, you know.
Yeah.
But we were just hanging out, and he was saying it to other people as he was being charming, which Cooper's a very charming fellow. And I never forgot the line and used it in the song. But it was his line, and I did think maybe I should give him credit. I didn't.
No. Come on. It's your 8 days a week, right? It's your...
I feel like he didn't forget, and I feel like Soup with Coop is his way of saying, Paul Sanchez, how's that feel? You know, you don't get any credit for Coop with Soup, and I'm a bigger name with bigger guests than you'll ever have. Your silly line. I think that's what he's saying, pretty much.
Well, I don't know, but I do like the line, and I think stealing it unabashedly is. But you know, I think Soup with Coop, and then he puts the little line under there. You know, we might lose our 30 listeners.
I shouldn't have mentioned it, should I have?
Yeah, I think it's good. We share. You know, it's only so many hours in a day. You got to share.
No, but our listeners might switch to him now because you know he's more famous than I am.
You know, when I ran into him last, he was doing financial work. Coop maybe this is his thing. He hadn't quite figured out what to do with the name.
No, he has done some hilarious. You haven't seen his show on Fox?
No.
During the football season. It's like 2-minute interviews with athletes.
Okay.
Can't be less impressed to be interviewed by Coop, who insinuates a friendship with each of them. Like, wow, you know, so, you know, whatever the star of the week is, and the guy's like, hey, man, we just met. You just asked me if I'd do this. You know? He's hilarious, man. He's got such personality. He was like that, though, when he was a kid. Uh-huh. You know, like I said, I think I mentioned at a show, Cowboy Mouth was playing a frat party, and our bass player, Steve Walters, was hitting on Coop's mother, Olivia, who was a beautiful woman. This was like 1993, and Cooper was still in college, you know, and I go over to him, and I go, I think he was like a sophomore, junior. I go, hey, Cooper, man, I'm sorry, but my bass player is kind of hitting on your mom. You want me to go over there and, you know, get him away? And he looks and he starts cracking up, and he goes, nah, let it happen. I can't wait to tell my dad about this. You know? And like, he would call me 10 minutes before we're going on stage at House of Blues, sold out show. Hey, Paul, me and Peyton are on the way. Is there any tickets left? And I'm like, Cooper, you know there's no tickets left. Just meet me by the back door, you know, get him in the back door. And then Peyton he wasn't playing in the pros yet. He was still in college, but people were buzzed because he was a name, and people like.
Plus, he did great at Tennessee, so.
So you know they're talking to Peyton, but people are going to Cooper. So what are you doing? And Cooper doesn't miss a beat. Goes, oh, well, I'm working with a firm that puts together rock stars and sports stars and advertising. It's a pretty lucrative field these days. And they go, give us your card, man. Here, take my card. Call me, because I got something we could do. And Cooper's like, yeah, man, I'll give you a call on Monday. Absolutely. And I looked at him and I went, Cooper. And he went, they don't know.
So
yeah, he always liked to laugh and make other people laugh. And it was harmless. You know, he wasn't anybody.
But the last time I saw him, we were doing this, gosh, you know, New Orleans, they do I guess they've probably been doing it for decades, but every year when their oil companies are showing their wares to Wall Street, and basically, you know, there's all these everybody owns wells. Different companies own all these different wells in different areas. And so they basically get up there and they give the numbers, and Wall Street guys come in and out. And some rooms are bigger than others that's the last time I saw him. But what was the name of the guy who would, my God, whenever he would come, New Orleans business guy. anyway, whenever he would show up for some kind of show, they'd all treat him like royalty. It was really kind of funny. And I'm trying to remember this guy's name. If I could remember it, you'd know his name. He was with all the oil stuff back in the 60s and 70s. But anyway, Coop was there with his suit on, really nice suit, shaking hands. And, I think at the time he was working.
He knows how to play the game for sure.
Yeah.
But he also knows how to have a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He's also, I got to say, too, one of the bravest people I ever met in my life. Because I met him not long after he'd had the surgery that ended his football career. And it was when Peyton's career was really taking off at Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And I hung out with the guy, had drinks with him late at night after gigs and stuff. He was in college. He probably shouldn't have been. I probably shouldn't have said that just now, but what the hell we did. And he loved his brother. He was proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
He never, not in a drunken moment, not in an unguarded moment, never did I see a trace of bitterness in his eyes or hear it in his inflection. I never saw anything but love and pride. And
Archie raised that family right, man.
Yeah, well, Archie's my favorite Saint. That's the jersey I wear when I watch Saints games,
Mm-hmm. He's a good guy, man. Another thing I like about Eli reminds me of his old man. Plays like his old man. Peyton was different. Peyton was a machine. He was, Archie was not like Peyton, but Eli.
No, Peyton was a computer. He just loved it, and
yes.
and he digested the
from
game.
A young age. Yeah, it was always for him. It's math.
I asked Cooper about that when they were. I think Peyton was ending college as Eli was starting. And I was like, "What's it going to be like for him?" And he laughed. He goes, "It's a whole different football player." He goes, "My dad always says Eli might have more natural ability, but his nickname's easy. He's not going to work as hard as Peyton."
Right.
And it was true. But he didn't have to. He won 2 Super Bowls.
He won 2 Super Bowls, and not only that, he beat Tom Brady on both of those Super Bowls.
That's right.
But the thing I like about Eli, he had guts and he had heart, and he was coming from he was like his old man. He was slippery, it was like, he wasn't always going to read the right thing, but he had feel.
He had that riverboat gambler to him, like Archie had. If it wasn't happening just like it was drawn up, he's going to run around and make something happen.
He's going to make it happen. Yeah, like Peyton, it's all about I got it's chess. It's chess.
It was chess for Peyton for sure. Precision.
Precision, right? But Eli just had feel, and it was a feel to his game. He was fun to watch. He was great.
I'm
he
a
won over
fan.
New York people. At the end, everybody wears out their welcome at some point. But they took to him there in New York for a lot of years.
Right. I know that's a tough town.
It's a tough town. Town.
In fact, when the coach benched him, that coach got fired and Eli got put back on the field.
Right. So,
they loved him up. Well, when you win a Super Bowl for New Yorkers, man, they're going to love you for your career. They still love Phil Simms in New York.
And the way that he won that first one was so beautiful. When an 8-8 season that lost to them in the, what was it, the second to last game? It was poetry. That whole thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
Came in as the underdogs.
Before the pandemic, not last year, but the football season before, I went with some friends, Rob Savoy and Tim Cohen, and some friends to see Cooper's son, Arch Manning, play. He was a sophomore then, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what they did with last football season. Did they play or?
I think for the most part, most of the state teams didn't play. I know up in Tennessee they kept trying to do it, and then there would be different COVID things. They put together a season, but it was not really. A lot of games were missed.
It was an exciting game. They were playing against a really great school, and this school had a quarterback that was fantastic. He could throw, he could run. So it was every time Newman scored, these guys scored, and they were down. Arch was down at the end, but just like watching Archie. There's literally a few seconds left, and he scrambles for his life, and he throws one deep, comes up with the touchdown and the win.
Wow!
Us old guys in the stands couldn't have been happier.
Yes. You see that magic.
Yeah. If you're an Archie fan and you watched his sons play and you cheered them on, my hope as an old guy is, if I live long enough, I'll see one more Manning play in the NFL.
It's looking that way, right? It's looking like that's possible.
Absolutely.
It gives you a reason to live, to hang out. I want to see another Manning play, dang it.
That's a fine reason.
Yes, there's all kinds of great. I want to see us wind up with these overlays with contact lenses. Or, dude, wait. I was reading about this technology. All right, you want to hear some crazy shit? So they can use your skin to project images into your mind so that you can basically see. They have these haptic vests that you can put on. They connect it to a computer, and the haptic vest, the way that it... Remember I was telling you about this thing where they can actually put the images in your head?
Right.
It has to do with the way that they affect the skin. It's fucking nuts. But you can get images that you can actually...
See, then you find yourself waking up in a big cave with all these people sleeping in these things next to each other, and they're sucking the life out of you like the...
No, this is something you buy.
And you're imagining a whole wonderful life where you got a cool girl.
No, it's not the Matrix.
Job, and you're seeing a band, you know. But in the meantime, they're sucking all your energy out. That's where that can going to lead to, Mikey.
No, this is a product that you buy that you pay for.
Buy a product to stick them into a computer to make me feel like I'm some...
No. You're not. That's the point. You're not stuck in a computer, but now the computer is literally a part of your body.
I don't want a computer to be part of my body.
Well, it's not in your body.
The next thing you know, you wake up
It's
and
a
there's
shirt.
like shit. Hey, I grew circuitry in my left arm. Like I got a compartment there I can open. That didn't used to be there. I didn't used to have a compartment I can open and see circuitry. I wonder if I should get that shit checked out. And then the computer's already taken over your subconscious, and he goes, "Nah, don't worry about it." And you say, "Nah, I'm not gonna worry about it." And you wake up the next day and you notice your whole left side is circuitry. It's this shit. And the computer goes, "It's nothing, really. It's nothing. Go have another cup of coffee, you know, and have a walk." It's just, I don't know, man. It's a slippery slope, if you ask me. That's not Terminator. Eventually, it's us against them, man. Like, you think they're not listening to this?
You know, it's okay though. What have we said? You know, what have we said? Actually, wait a second. We're broadcasting this. We want them to be listening.
Well, not them. The computers.
Well, maybe they're fans. We could use the numbers.
See, that's the whole thing. Everybody pretends to be a fan early on.
Yeah.
It's they're trying to get close to get something out of you. They get it. They take it. They move on.
I just wonder what these haptic shirts are going to look like. I mean, because is it something you wear under your regular clothes? It looks like skin, or is it like a shirt?
Before.
What's that?
You're making this up, haptic.
That's what they call it. It has something to do with the skin, and yeah, it's a haptic vest.
You know, it just strikes me that McCartney and Lennon both told this story, so I know it happened. At one point, because Lennon was willing to try anything, he had read about you could reach nirvana by having a hole drilled into your skull, and it would free up your soul and your thinking. And some doctor in Switzerland had come up with it, and he was trying to convince McCartney to go do it. And McCartney was like, "Yeah, you know, I don't think I want to go have somebody drill a hole in my skull, you know," which eventually Lennon didn't do. But he did do a lot of crazy stuff because he liked to try. So I think if he were alive, he'd be next to you wearing a haptic vest.
Yes. Yes.
You'd probably be playing on stage together, you know, in your haptic imaginations, whatever that means. I made that up just now, but why not?
Why not?
Sit up, why can't I?
But yeah. I think it's I'm excited about, you know, where things are headed with computers. Look, man, I'll be honest with you. There's a computer there, there's a computer there, there's a computer there. We're using this computer here. There's two that are under shelves over there that I'm not actually using right this minute. Why not connect?
You see, I'm going the other way. I told you.
Yeah.
It's maybe not this birthday, but it's coming a birthday soon where everything's gone. No email, no laptop, no phone. I'm going rotary. I'm going mail me a letter.
So how are you going to do the show when you're rotary?
The show's going to be over by then.
Long done.
I predict we're going to be we're running out of gas even as we speak. I feel I'm smelling fumes.
You smelling fumes? We're talking about the future. You being a futurist here.
I've never been much of a futurist. I've been a nowist.
Yeah, but think about it now you want more future. Like at this point, don't you want more future?
You know, I used to work briefly when was that? Like 2013 or 14. My second ex-wife got sick and I got a job selling office furniture. I was the worst office furniture salesman in the history of office furniture. I held the job for 18 months. I
I
sold
can
nothing.
imagine.
I gave stuff away to friends when I could. Uh, I finally went in to quit after 18 months. It was one of my oldest friends, gave me the job, Michael Levy on Dameron Pearson at the time, and he was just trying to help me out, right? And after 18 months, I go, "Hey, man, I hope I don't leave you in a lurch, but I got to quit this job and go back to music." And he goes, "Thank God," because
But I can imagine somebody coming in, you're showing them shit. You don't even know what it is. You've never been in a fucking office your whole
no,
life.
I don't know anything. Fabrics and it just put me to sleep. The seminar to even learn the stuff. I just you know. But there was two great guys there. One of them was this guy Dutch Becker, and all the young guys that were drivers would come in the morning all hungover and raucous from the weekend, and they were all these 20 somethings, and one of them would inevitably say, "Man, I can't wait till Friday," and it would be a Monday, and Dutch would look up. He was like 65 at the time. He'd look up and he'd go, "You're wishing your life away." So you got to be here now, which is he was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And then I think I might have told this story, but the other guy that was really great there was this old guy John Shrew, great name Shrew,
Yeah, yeah.
and he was no crabby guy, talked like this, and he hunched over, great New Orleans guy with thick glasses and nice flabby suit, greased back hair. Yeah. I found out that he was a big fan of jazz. He'd seen Nat King Cole live and seen all these people live in the 40s when he was in the service. So he comes over to my desk and goes, "Hey, son, I hear you're a musician." I said, "Yeah, well, I was, John. I'm 53 now and thinking maybe it's time I can give it up and do something else." He goes, "53? When I was 53, I was working on my third marriage, going out dancing with a different woman every night. You're a puppy." So I love those two fellas.
I'm going to be 53 this year. So
You're a puppy.
I'm going to be a puppy. Finally. I've been trying to get to puppy all this time and finally happy to be.
It snuck up on you, you see?
Yeah, yeah.
But for me, ever since I was a kid, even when I was like, in my 20s, I always say, "Oh, no, I'm old." And Fred used to always joke, "You've been old since I met you." And now I'm old, so I get to say it and be it, and it was what I've been waiting for my whole life. I didn't think I'd make it, and I did. Here I am, old.
Let me ask you a question that's unrelated. It just occurred to me. If you're going to make another cup of tea, how do you do that? I mean, like, do you have a cat, like what do you think with the whistling? It's a kettle, right? The whistling?
Of course I have a tea kettle. What do you mean,
You have a kettle. I don't have a kettle. That's why I'm asking. Because
you don't have a tea kettle?
No, we put it in the microwave. We have to put it in the damn microwave.
Sad.
Right. It's not, I mean, it's just microwaved water, but it seems wrong.
It's so wrong. You're radiating water, for one thing. That can't be good.
Right. I mean,
how many cups of tea do you drink? Think about that.
That's where I'm going. It's more
sort of
dangerous.
Like the album thing, like there's too much of this rush into future stuff because it's easy and fast and simple. Boiling a cup of tea, there's a ritual there, and letting it steep is a beautiful thing. And just like putting a record on and letting the vinyl spin the grooves, don't rush through life, Mikey.
Well, you
don't
remember
rush through that cup of tea. Go today and get a tea kettle.
Remember you talked about that Captain America movie you saw? One of the things that I loved about the beginning of it is...
tea kettle.
No. But it was that the whole... Remember Tony Stark's doing a thing with the future, and it just reminded me of, at that time, everybody was like really excited about life, and not everybody, obviously. We can have that discussion on another thing.
Flying cars and jetpacks.
Right, but that was the whole thing.
They'd be excited about life when they're saying you're going to have flying cars.
By now we're supposed to be going back and forth to the moon, right?
It's a lot harder to be excited about life. If I had a flying car today, I'd be a lot more happy about life.
Well, the funny thing is that
because I'm afraid to fly, but I'd have it because I was promised.
We're starting to exceed Moore's law. I think some of the issues were that they weren't, at the time it seemed like, as we pick up these different technologies, all you do is add them together and then you wind up where you need to be. But it turned out that they had to start finding different ways to do things that were more efficient. Like they had already maximized what they could do with some of these technologies, so they had to go back in. But Moore's law, which is the thing that talks about how many circuits are on a circuit board, and how much smaller and how much more efficient they are. It's supposed to. It's like I think it doubles every 2 years or something like that, and they've crunched that now and that's why we're headed to all this stuff with AI and everything, because now it's doubling like every 6 months algorithmically. So And everybody's like going, wait, what language is that? Is he speaking English still? Or
See, this exactly why I'm going the other direction. Because what they're doing is they're going to squeeze you all out anyway. You know, that's what the circuitry is. It's less jobs, you know, with machines.
But I wonder if it's possible with the internet.
I'll be sitting on the outside waiting for y'all. I'll have my phone. I'll have my mail box. I'll be checking to see if any of you guys need help out there. And I'll be strumming an acoustic guitar.
I'm going to give this little piece of advice to the 30 or so listeners that we have. And look into, and I know you've been hearing it probably, but look into Bitcoin. Because not long ago, it hit $1 billion. And once it hit $1 billion, here's the deal.
I went with PayPal. Now they're telling me like
no. You still do PayPal.
Something.
No, you treat Bitcoin as an investment. And yes, you're not getting the whole coin. You're buying a piece of it, but think of it as a piece of share. And the reason why I mentioned that one, there's a bunch of them out there. I know there's Ethereum, and there's new ones coming out, and there's digital dollars that are getting ready to happen. I get all of that stuff, but I'm telling you, Bitcoin's going to be the one. It's the one in the name. It's the Mac of them, and so
sleep. You're like, how do you know all this stuff? You're flying places to mix people. You're recording people. You're mixing 5 different projects at once, and you're still learning about the kid stuff with the bitcoins and the haptic.
I don't sleep a lot these days, so. But the Bitcoin stuff. I was going to say for our listeners, do look into it.
You could pretend you were sleeping. You could tell the computer could tell you were sleeping if you had a haptic jacket. And
yes,
you think, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm sleeping.
Maybe I could get it to do something in the background so that I could go to sleep. It would be doing stuff for me and just inject the knowledge, right? Like the Matrix, ding, and all of a sudden I know things.
Or just maybe it'll simulate sleep for you, and you won't have the anxiety of not sleeping, since you clearly physically don't need the sleep. It's just the anxiety of not sleeping. So
what is that about getting older where you really, I know you don't sleep much either these days. Like when I was younger, I had to sleep 12 hours. If I didn't get 12 hours of sleep, I was fucking useless.
We were partying a lot more when we were younger.
Yeah, maybe so.
Let's face it, we were sleeping stuff off.
Maybe that's as simple as it was. But I look at my daughters, and I know that they're not nearly as bad as I was, and they need 12 hours of sleep. So something about being young, you need more sleep.
With the Allie's a basketball player. So she's got like practices and training. And so, of course, she needs 12 hours of sleep. And that's like legitimate 12 hours sleep. That's like, she did it legally.
Yes, she did it legally. When she was here, we watched Marvel stuff together. That's one of our little things. And so we were going to watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I was like, and you can stay up with me tonight and we can watch it at 2 a.m. And she looked at me like I was absolutely fucking crazy. It's like 2 a.m. I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. with you, Dad. Right. And I'm like, come on, it'll be fun. I said, we'll start watching the other ones at midnight and just right at the time. It'll be time, it'll be right. And no.
Yeah. My wife agrees to do that every night and then goes to bed right after she agrees to do it. She says it with a smile, and we both know she doesn't mean a word of it.
Right. It's funny. I do that with her all the time. We'll go
bedroom to watch the Marvel movies with me.
And then she falls asleep.
Oh, she's never coming back. Well, I had no intention.
Oh, man. Was she there for Kong? Did she see the happy monkey?
No, she didn't see. I think that one would have been different. See, like, there we go. Because she doesn't dig all the beating up and the bloodshed and the stuff. But that one didn't really have that. It had a girl who could sign, and a scientist woman who taught her to sign, or she could sign with whatever their connection was sort of ambiguous. But I don't think that was, relative to the Kongness of the moment. And so the little girl had a bond with the Kong, and she convinces the people, let's bring him home, man. Let's bring him. So they're going to bring him back to the island, and they got a nice ship, and he's lying on his back, and he's got a water view going by, and everything's groovy. And then they take the bonds off, and he sits up, and he's scooping out sushi. He's happy as can be. End of story. I just thought, I'm not going to lie, I teared up a little bit. I watched it 4 times. It was a half hour. So, yeah, I think that,
especially after you saw the one about remember the monkey from the 70s that could sign and all that stuff, and then what was it, the movie about what happened to Project Nim?
Documentary on Jane Goodall. So I really could tell her it's sort of just like the documentary, and then the movie ends there, she'll probably be happy with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and they're taking him home, and he'll be home,
and he's gonna have some sushi. Don't
worry about the Godzilla versus Kong part, because it doesn't happen anyway.
It doesn't happen. it was just to draw people in.
Yeah.
I'm going to see that movie eventually. By the way, I did try to figure out HBO Max.
Did you?
I
Do you
did.
have it?
No.
Are you sure?
No, I don't have it. It wasn't free. They wanted me to pay stuff, and
No. But you have to you have to tell them you have a provider.
I did all that.
Oh, you did?
They didn't let me, and I was really upset because you were right. They
Oh.
have awesome movies.
They have awesome movies.
They have awesome movies.
Dude, it's like they've got and they kind of turn them actually. So it's like, wow.
Yeah, I'm jealous. In fact, they had the whole Kong Godzilla series, so
Yes,
I could have caught up.
They have the Japanese versions if you want to watch them.
They had great choices, and I tried for about 40 minutes, and then I realized I was just frustrating myself, and I let it go. I'll try again when I'm.
How about let me do it for you, and I can tell. At least I can tell you. So if you're wasting your time, I can tell you, yeah, you don't have this.
Maybe so.
So we just need to you know, we saw each other yesterday, but all of a sudden I had missed my appointment, and I had to run out. We could have taken care of this yesterday. Because I was thinking about.
I could have brought you a coffee cup yesterday, which it was sitting right on the kitchen counter where I left it when I meant to bring it to you.
You know what's funny is I think you brought it the day before when we were supposed to get together and didn't, and then forgot it on the day when we actually did get together.
I realized halfway to your house that I had forgotten it, and I could have turned around, but we don't live that close to each other, and
we don't.
I was hoping.
And you know what's funny is I went to your house. The place that I got my shot was that Jefferson Performing Arts Center right around your house.
That is right by my house.
Yeah, I was like, damn, I'm heading to Paul's house. I could have met you. I didn't even think about it. Well, obviously I didn't know.
Well, you didn't know, but you got a shot, so that's all that matters. All right. Well, Mikey.
It's been a fun morning.
Yeah.
You're out of tea yet?
And I think we're going to make it official because we both love our dear friend Eddie, but the give and take that we have is not a give and take that he enjoys. He enjoys saying what he has to say and not being interrupted. So I think we need to go back to our original concept of 2 minutes of Edward. And that means we say, you got 2 minutes. We're not going to interrupt him.
We're going to shut up.
Let him know but at 2 minutes, you hang up on him. And don't even say goodbye. Let him have 2 minutes to say whatever he wants.
I think it'd be really funny for him.
I wish he would. Because he is truly one of the funniest people I ever met. So I'm hoping he's going to use the 2 minutes to be funny in a world that needs funny. But if he's in a shitty mood, we both know Eddie. We're going to share that shitty mood for 2 minutes. But that's 2 minutes with Edward.
2 minutes with Edward. You don't know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates.
He is like a box of chocolates, and he would hate us saying that.
Yes, he would. He'd be like, boxes? What the fuck are they talking about?
He'd hate the comparison to Forrest Gump. He would. That would be a rant in and of itself. At any rate, I'm working on a guest because we haven't had a guest in a while. So I'm going to get back to you on that. I got some couple of people in mind, but I like that part of it, and this has been fun.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I got a bunch of people before we go. I got a bunch of people that are really going to miss us if we go. And guys, I'm not sure we're going to go. You know, we'll see. Let's see. We may not do.
Well, the Who's been ending for 25 years.
Yes, exactly. We'll leave it like that. The Who's been ending for 25 years because me and Paul are not that popular people, so we don't have a ton of things to do.
He actually works a lot more than I do, but
yeah, but mine's boring stuff. I'm wearing haptic vests and things like that, so.
Which I still don't believe is real. But anyway, I will see you on Wednesday.
Oh, wait. Allison says if you really need HBO Max, email her. Maybe she's got a way to get HBO Max. Maybe she's got to figure it out.
She's got a little inn up in Boston.
Sounding that way. All right, we'll reach out, Allison. And you guys, you want to hear some music? You guys want to hear some music? We're going to play some music. And you know what I can't wait for?
What's that?
I can't wait till, I'm looking forward to the piano. I'm telling you, I think some of that stuff's going to be really nice.
I feel like I'm going to be like Tim Robbins in Bull Durham. I'm going to be dreaming that I'm playing naked and that Josh Paxton and Oscar Rossignoli and David Torkanowski are just standing around me laughing and pointing. And then I wake up and they're going to be standing there. I'm going to be actually dressed, but they're still going to be laughing and pointing.
I think I want to set it up where we do it, minimal lighting, make you put your hat back on. Give you the vibe. Detective Dillard, you know, he's you're going to be a different. I mean, who are you going to be? You know, Pablo Sanchez. I don't know, but you're going to be some.
Spanish. I don't mean people are going to be expecting too much, and my
Yeah,
Spanish is limited. Luis was supposed to help me with that, by the way.
it's just to help
Our
both of us.
Chicago Hulu with our superhero review on Fridays. He was supposed to help me years ago, and I've learned very little Spanish being his friend.
And the funny thing is, you talk to him, and you're like, "This guy knows Spanish, really? Listen to him talk."
Man, he can do it though.
Yeah, I
We
bet.
pulled up to go see Doctor Strange, and he started having a conversation with the parking lot attendant because the movie theater he went to was like it was the size of a small city, you know.
Oh
And
wow! Right.
parking was I was confused on where to park, how to get to the theater, how to find the car again, even how to pay was confusing. It was not easy, and his Spanish helped us through all the confusion of modern movie going.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, you go down to Florida, you kind of need to pull out the Rosetta Stone, just because you're gonna miss out if you don't. 'Cause there's a lot going on that you
It's
just.
a lifelong quest of mine to learn a second language, and I keep on talking about getting better at Spanish. I'm going to do something about it this year.
This year. All right, guys. You heard it first. You know, he's gonna be playing piano, speaking Spanish. It's gonna be
And juggling.
and juggling.
And juggling.
I used to be able to juggle when I was a kid.
I'm going to do them all at the same time. I'm going to juggle as I play piano and speak Spanish.
Let Dave and them fucking say shit about that.
Yeah, let them. I don't even know what you just said.
All right, I'm playing the music. Goodbye, guys. We had fun. Thank you so much.
Well, I used to keep my money in a cookie jar. It was shaped like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, her hair is as black as an alleyway, and it used to be red, and it used to be blonde. Truth is, her hair changes color all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, I'm staring at her shoulder, but it's not what I see when I hear two fellas fighting in the booth across from me. So I wipe away the ashes from an empty counter seat, and I wished I wasn't homesick, I wish I was asleep. Well, I hold her like a blanket up against my chin, and I need her like I need another pack of